She was a pharmaceutical PhD in the 23rd century, but unexpectedly crossed paths and became a poor loser in a different world. Although she had no family, no power, no wealth, no power, she was also full of intrigue and intrigue. Having a fully spiritual physique, possessing unparalleled medical skills, possessing a natural beauty and cunning in handling affairs. Whoever wants to bully her, humiliate her, or rebel against her, she will surely destroy it. Yunhuang inherits, amazing treasures, and unparalleled divine pets are all in her possession, including the secret realm space, rare medicinal herbs, and divine-level pills. Want to use power to suppress others? To make you fall in one fell swoop, want to plot and frame up? Let your true form be revealed. I originally wanted to be carefree for a lifetime, cold-eyed in the mortal world, but to my surprise, peach blossoms have already bloomed around me. The gardener with a quick and cunning heart waved his hand and killed them all. Little fairy, come home with me quickly. Group ID, 438850498 Keywords of the novel. Supreme Divine Phoenix. Evil king and favorite concubine need to be tempered without pop-ups, Supreme Divine Phoenix. Evil king and favorite concubine need to be tempered. Download the complete set of TXT, Supreme Divine Phoenix. Evil king and favorite concubine need to be tempered. Latest chapters to read. Chapter 1. I am an egg. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Miss, the maid has brought the clothes. Put it there. Yes. The servant left first. Mu Lingxi carefully lay down in a concealed place, peering into the hot spring pool not far ahead. It wasn't until the woman in green withdrew from the hot spring pool that she took a deep breath. At this moment, a beautiful woman was sitting comfortably in the hot spring pool, closing her eyes and recuperating. The mist shrouded in the pool water, making the beauty of the woman even more hazy and thought-provoking, like the flowers in the mist and the moon in the water. Mu Lingxi carefully observed the movements around her until she was certain that there were no more people around, and finally her gaze fell on the clothes that the woman in green had just brought. Feeling embarrassed, Mu Lingxi glanced at the wilted and tattered leaves on her body. With a heart-wrenching, she quietly stood up from her hiding place and tiptoed towards the clothes by the hot spring. The woman in the pool seemed to be asleep without any notice. Mu Lingxi arrived at the stone platform by the hot spring and carefully picked up the clothes placed on the platform. The touch on her fingers was delicate and smooth, making her wish she could wear them now. With efforts to restrain her impulses, Mu Lingxi once again silently walked out of the hot spring pool. Looking for a hidden mountain stream, Mu Lingxi couldn't wait to put on her first piece of clothing. Yes, the first one. Since she hatched her eggshell, she hasn't had any clothes. Don't ask her why she crawled out of the eggshell, because she's also very strange. Why do other people who travel through time are all delicious maids and beautiful men, but she has traveled into an egg, not to mention the deep mountains and forests, and still wants her to work hard, drink blood, and be a wild person covered by grass and leaves. When Mu Lingxi touched the pure white and smooth dress on her body deeply, she could only silently apologize to the beautiful woman who was still soaking in the hot spring. Looking at the slightly westward sun, Mu Lingxi continued to move towards the north. When she approached the group of people just now, she accidentally heard that this place was not far from East City. In order to quickly integrate into the life here, Mu Lingxi set her first stop goal there. Nearly a month of jungle life had already honed her ability to cross mountains and ridges, so before nightfall, Mu Lingxi finally arrived at Micheng. Stop. Speaking of you. It's you. Mu Lingxi looked at the city gate official in confusion and pointed to herself. Me. Of course it's you. Judging from your attire, you don't look like a small family. Why are you so immature? The city gate official extended his hand with a natural expression on his face, looking disdainfully to the side. Mu Lingxi suddenly understood that she was waiting for her to confess. But she doesn't have money now. What does she provide him with? As it was getting dark, Mu Lingxi's eyes rolled and she waved her big hand with a snap sound, hitting the official at the city gate in the face. Blind your dog's eyes, don't even see who I am. As night approaches, if it delays my return to the mansion, let's see if my father has skinned your dog. The city gate official inexplicably scraped his ear and was about to erupt. Upon hearing this, he only covered his face and was momentarily stunned. What are you looking at? Hurry up and make way for me, humph. As she spoke, Mu Lingxi disgusted and pushed the city gate official towards the side, completely arrogant and domineering. The city gate official was puzzled, but was intimidated by the posture of this woman and the second-generation ancestor. Chapter 2. Good dogs don't block the road. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I heard that there is indeed a domineering young lady in the new city master's house, but he has not met him yet. Is it the one in front of him? Damn it, I don't know which noble girl Miss is. I will send someone to escort Miss home now. That city gate official is also transparent. If he really offends the young ancestors of the new city master's family, his future will be difficult. You don't know anyone about me, Mississippi. What kind of city gate official are you? If you dare to stop me and see if I don't dig your dog's eye. Mu Lingxi looked around at the slowly gathering crowd, feeling anxious. If we don't solve it quickly, we're afraid we'll expose the truth later. I dare not, it's just that I'm afraid it won't be safe for Miss to enter the city alone. It's time to close the city gate now. Otherwise, let me personally send Miss home. I'll consider it as my apology for offending Mississippi. The city gate official was already 8 or 9% convinced that the woman in front of him was the eldest lady of the new city lord's family. If it weren't for a city lord level father, he wouldn't have been able to get used to her arrogance. No need. Miss Mi Ching doesn't need to be afraid of anyone coming here. Don't stand in front of me, I'll get angry when I see you. Humph. After speaking, Mu Lingxi angrily shook her sleeves and strode away, leaving only the restless and bewildered city gate official standing in place with a worried expression on his face. Finally successfully entering the city, Mu Lingxi silently praised her wit. Just as Mu Lingxi was planning to stroll around this otherworldly town, a light and ethereal man's voice came from behind. Isn't this lady planning to go home? Mu Lingxi was instantly startled by the sound and was covered in a cold sweat. Subconsciously, she turned her head and saw a figure covered in unrestrained and lazy ink. You. Who are you? Those deep and narrow eyes looked at her as if they had already understood everything, and Mu Lingxi instantly felt the embarrassment of a lie being exposed. Are you scared? There was an inexplicable interest in the light and floating voice. Are you afraid? A sly light flashed in Mu Lingxi's eyes. Ha! It's interesting. The slightly seductive smile made Mu Lingxi instantly stunned. After regaining her senses, Mu Lingxi also raised her lips and said, "This is each other." Feeling speechless with Mu Lingxi's reckless expression and tone, the man smiled lightly and said, "Aren't you afraid that the city gate official will react and arrest you?" Of course Mu Lingxi was afraid, but she wouldn't tell this meddlesome stranger. How could it be so fast? With a casual wave of her hand, Mu Lingxi planned to pass the man with a faint smile and leave quickly. But before Mu Lingxi could take a step, he saw the man's gaze lightly glancing behind her and saying, "What do you think?" Subconsciously, Mu Lingxi felt bad and was about to turn around to look behind her when she heard an angry roar coming from not far behind her. "Damn you stinky girl, stop me." At this moment, Mu Lingxi didn't need to look and knew that her plan had been exposed by the city gate official. She secretly let out a bad luck and started preparing to flee. At this moment, the light and floating voice rang out again. A favor. Mu Lingxi was taken aback for a moment, and then suddenly understood that this was definitely taking advantage of the situation to rob. "Help me first before we talk." Mu Lingxi glared angrily at someone with a theatrical expression on their face. "Little girl. You have a good temper, I wonder if you have such courage. Chapter 3. The Abyss Digged by Myself. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Upon hearing this, Mu Lingxi looked puzzled. The next moment, Mu Lingxi felt a flash in front of her, her waist tightened, and her body was instantly lifted into the sky. Ah! Let me go down. I'm afraid high. Are you sure it's now? How dare you? Then let's go a little higher. You bastard! Amidst the howling wind, Mu Lingxi's high-pitched screams drifted away from afar. A joyful curve gradually curved over someone's evil lips. Damn it! It seems that the current height is not quite enough. Mu Lingxi didn't know someone's dirty psychology. She instinctively closed her eyes and tightly hugged someone's neck. Her legs were not as soft as a sandwich of noodles, let alone considering anything else. The wind in her ears finally stopped, and Mu Lingxi tentatively opened her eyes. The sky has completely darkened, with twinkling stars, and the surrounding environment appears even more serene. Can't bear to let go. The person's slightly teasing voice came back to her ears, and Mu Lingxi became very angry. Angry, she released her hands and stepped on the solid and stable ground, and Mu Lingxi's confidence returned once again. What's there to be reluctant about? You're not made of gold. Without looking at the person, Mu Lingxi calmly lowered her head and stroked the inconspicuous wrinkles on her dress. If it's made of gold, won't you loosen it? There was a funny questioning in that magnetic voice. Of course. Take your golden pig to the market and sell it, probably enough for me to eat a few good meals. Mu Lingxi naturally said, because she really thought this way, being penniless and being bullied by dogs. No matter where you are, money is the hard truth. Golden pig. That magnetic voice inexplicably made Mu Lingxi feel a chill. You're not gold, do you have any objections? Don't think that a little air conditioning can scare her. Mu Lingxi is not from Xiamen University. The person was clearly mocked upon hearing this, but in just a moment, he regained his usual wicked tone. You reminded me that even though you're not gold, such a clever girl's film should probably sell for a good price. Upon hearing this, Mu Lingxi harshly cursed herself as a stupid pig. It's hard to say what's wrong, but she insisted on selling her. This time, she really dug herself into an abyss without a bottom. But the top priority now is to find a way to protect oneself and not really let others fall for the trap of selling pigs at the market. Thinking of this, Mu Lingxi instantly changed her smiling face and stepped back, saying, "Young master, you are a noble young master from a wealthy family, with a graceful and elegant demeanor, and extraordinary speech. You can tell at first glance that you are a noble young master from a wealthy family. When you encounter injustice, you even lend a helping hand and save the young woman's life. The young woman is extremely grateful. However, the young woman has nothing to gain and cannot repay her. We have to wait until the next day to thank you for your kindness. Since that is the case, the young woman will take a step forward and we will meet again." Mu Lingxi saw that she had almost retreated, so she quickly arched her hand and turned around to run in the opposite direction of the man. As soon as I took 2 steps, I bumped into a hard embrace. With a ouch sound, Mu Lingxi covered her almost crooked nose and began to snort. Why are you in such a hurry? After a while, your nose will be damaged, and you probably have to sell for a lot less money. 4. Chapter 4 Introduction. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The man lifted Mu Lingxi's small face with a look of tenderness, but it met Mu Lingxi's pitiful tearful gaze. The pitiful little expression on his face, with a hint of tears on his face, was indescribably tempting. At this moment, Mu Lingxi was also looking at the unfamiliar man in front of her. This was the first time she had noticed his appearance, outlined by the hazy moonlight. On a perfect facial contour, her sharp eyebrows were like a sword dragon entering her temples, and her deep eyes were like devouring the night stars. My nose is like a solitary mountain hanging from my gallbladder, and my lips are like clouds and water filled with elixirs. The dreamy twinkling starry sky was his background, and the soft moonlight rendered his wicked smile to the extreme. The narrow eyes that seemed to captivate her tightly looked at her, like an bottomless vortex that intoxicated her. The moonlight is too beautiful, blending all tenderness into this silent gaze. This dreamy scene has captivated her eyes, his heart, and even the endless entanglements that are difficult to unravel in their lifetime. Mu Lingxi felt the air around her as if it had been frozen, with a sudden increase in temperature and even her breathing becoming unnatural. She had never felt this before. Forcing herself to turn her head to one side and not look into those eyes, Mu Lingxi took a deep breath of the slightly cool air after the night fell. Unexpectedly, a very pleasant smell lingered around her nose. When Mu Lingxi was about to seek a better way to cool down, she heard the person in front of her say in a stern tone. "This outfit doesn't fit you, let's change it instead." Just as Mu Lingxi was about to refute something, the person let go and left Mu Lingxi with a meaningful smile. Then he flew up, his dark figure resembling a painting of ink painting. "Remember, woman, you still owe me one favor. Remember to pay me back next time." As soon as she finished speaking, Mu Lingxi felt a flash of light in front of her, and in the starry night sky, there was no figure of that person. All of this was as dazzling and incredible as a fireworks display and a dream. Mu Lingxi opened her mouth but couldn't say anything. Looking back again at the place where the figure had disappeared, Mu Lingxi stepped forward and headed towards the densely lit city in the distance. Gong Yuming stood on the tower not far away, watching the clear and beautiful figure gradually hazy under the moonlight. The smile on his lips was like a seductive mandala blooming in full bloom. At this moment, a figure flashed through the nearby forest and instantly landed next to Gong Yuming. How was the conversation going? She shouldn't give up easily, would she? The figure was dressed in black, with bright eyes filled with a worried expression. "She's not her." Gong Yuming didn't even glance at the person and said with a faint expression. Mu Wuyun looked at Gong Yuming with an incredulous expression on his face, and the meaning was even more obvious. "Have you ever mistaken someone? That clothes were given by you, would you mistake the person?" Mu Wuyun was almost convinced. "That clothes are unparalleled and unparalleled Suyue brocade in the world. Can they still become a common item for everyone?" Gong Yuming gave a faint glance at Mu Wuyun and then said, "This is your matter. I want to know all the processes, including her." Gong Yuming's eyes looked deeply at the slender figure gradually blurring in the night. "What kind of soul does that thin and weak body have?" Mu Wuyun stood quietly on the side without speaking. The target person was not found this time, and the matter was probably even more difficult to handle. Chapter 5. Marrying into a rich family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mu Lingxi's mind wandered aimlessly all the way, until a fierce argument distracted her attention. "You bitch, you stepped on my shoes, apologized and wanted to leave. Do you know how expensive my shoes are? Selling them won't even compensate you enough." Upon hearing the sound, Mu Lingxi looked around and saw many people gathered in front of a courtyard not far ahead. In the middle, a woman in coarse cloth was being stopped by a beautiful woman in pink attire, who was forcefully questioning. The woman in the coarse cloth clothes was already frightened and just kept apologizing. Tears filled her eyes, but she struggled not to fall. This scene couldn't help but evoke memories of Mu Lingxi's past life, with the same event and dialogue, but the person involved at that time was himself. At that time, Mu Lingxi endured the humiliation because she had to take care of her mother. And now a sly smile flashed in Mu Lingxi's eyes, and she quickly walked towards the crowd. As soon as she entered the crowd, Mu Lingxi rushed over to the woman in white without saying a word and said in shock, "Oh my! Miss, why are your shoes like this? Xiaoyun just left for a while and why are you so ungrateful? If you were to be found out by the lady when you go back, you would be miserable. The lady even pointed to you wearing this outfit and marrying into a wealthy family." A sudden burst of quick words from Mu Lingxi stunned everyone around, followed by a burst of roaring laughter. Haha. So it's like this. No wonder he's so abusive of the person who stepped on her shoes. Who wouldn't say it? That kick shattered their dream of becoming a wealthy family. What else will they use to collude with young masters in the future? Ha ha ha. They only have this decent outfit, which makes them look bloated and chubby. You guys are really annoying. To put it bluntly, how unattractive they are. The woman in white finally reflected from her initial days, and upon hearing the mocking words around her, she almost wanted to kill the woman who had just spoken. After calming down with effort, she glared fiercely at Mu Lingxi and said, "Who are you? I don't know you. Why are you talking nonsense here? How could I only have this outfit?" Mu Lingxi's eyes widened wide, her face full of disbelief. She was about to explain, but she glanced at the crowd around her who were laughing recklessly, as if realizing that her words seemed to have caused great trouble for the young lady. She then looked panicked and quickly waved her hand towards the crowd to explain. "Oh my! I was wrong, actually I don't know this young lady. How could this young lady only be dressed in one outfit? If her shoes get dirty, she'll get dirty. Do you still treat them as rare? You people, why chew on your tongue when you have nothing to do?" Mu Lingxi's self-proclaimed clever explanation caused even greater laughter in the crowd. Ha ha ha. I'm laughing to death. The master and servant are still playing the double read here. I really thought this would cover up the fact that her young lady only has a head. Ha ha ha. Brother Jia, why bother picking up someone's scar? Can't we just let them perform well? We're still trying to catch a good show. Look at the young lady's face now, she's going to faint with anger. Where are we going to find such a happy scene to watch? That's it. Let me tell you. They finally got their face swollen and wanted to get chubby. Now that they're making a scene like this, how can you make them feel embarrassed to continue slapping in public? The woman in Hawaii was almost crying when she heard it. Why has things turned out like this? How will she continue to see people in the future? Chapter 6. Picking up a little friend. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this thought, the woman in Hawaii glared fiercely at Mu Lingxi, her eyes sinister as if they were a venomous snake about to devour someone. Stinky girl, you wait, I won't let you go. Mu Lingxi looked at the woman in Hawaii with a look of grievance and confusion in her eyes. She quickly shook her head and said in panic, "Mississippi. No, it's not Mississippi. I was wrong, I was really wrong. Please don't punish me." The woman in Hawaii was about to vomit blood when she heard this. Now she's really yellow mud sticking to her pants, not just feces but also feces. Listening to the incessant laughter around her, the woman in Hawaii's heart could no longer bear it. She let out an angry snort, vigorously pushed away the crowd pointing at her, and quickly ran away. The crowd around shook their heads in laughter and dispersed, discussing the funny scene in groups of 3 and 2, gradually fading away. Mu Lingxi finally overcame the gloom of her past life and prepared to leave with a good mood. The woman dressed in coarse cloth finally reacted from shock, knowing that it was the woman in white in front of her who helped her out of today's predicament. At this moment, as Mu Lingxi was about to turn around and leave, he quickly ran over and saluted Mu Lingxi deeply. "Thank you very much, miss, for helping me out. I don't know Miss's name, but I will give you a generous report on the day of Inue's arrival." Mu Lingxi was originally trying to end her own haze and didn't want Inue to remember her kindness, so she waved her hand and said, "I just can't stand her bullying too much, you don't have to worry." Inue thought it was Mu Lingxi who didn't want to reveal her name, so she let it go. While thinking about something to give back, she saw Mu Lingxi looking around, as if looking for something. She couldn't help but ask, "Miss, is she looking for something?" "Inue has been here for some time, so she can help Miss find it." Mu Lingxi used to walk here in a daze, without knowing the direction at all. Now that the sky is dark, she needs to find a safe place to spend the night. When she talked to Inue earlier, she was actually observing the surrounding environment. Now that Inoue is familiar with this place, she wants to inquire and see where there is a place to stay. Do you know where I can stay here? Overnight. Miss, is she also from another city to participate in the college entrance examination in Micheng? Inoue was greatly surprised in her heart. Initially, she thought that Mu Lingxi dared to play with that young lady, and that she should be a local, but she didn't expect her to also need to stay overnight. Can you stay overnight by taking the college entrance examination? Mu Lingxi was taken aback for a moment. It was really timely to give a pillow when dozing off. Yeah. Generally, candidates from other places can stay overnight in dormitories outside the college, don't you know? Inoue came to Micheng from a remote mountain village to participate in the college entrance examination, far away from her hometown. If it weren't for the people who had taken the entrance examination before coming to the village, she wouldn't have known. Are you also here to participate in the college entrance examination? Although Mu Lingxi doesn't know what the college entrance examination is for, as long as she can stay overnight, she doesn't want to wander on the streets at night. Yeah. Since that's the case, let's go quickly. We can still find a good bed for you later. Inoue happily took Mu Lingxi's hand and walked away, chattering along the way about some matters related to the college entrance examination. At this point, Mu Lingxi finally realized that this world could be cultivated, but ordinary people usually only awaken their spiritual pulse at the age of 14 or 15, while some more rebellious geniuses awaken their spiritual pulse early on. Chapter 7. A Place to Stay. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Some people are even born with awakened spiritual meridians, and these people are generally great God-level characters who have the potential to challenge the heavenly level. It is said that the underworld king of Gongyu Kingdom is a divine-level figure who was born with awakened spiritual veins. At a young age, he became the sacrificial prince of Gongyu Kingdom with his own cultivation, and his current cultivation is even more profound. This is a beautiful story that the whole country is eager to transmit, and he is also the male god in the hearts of all young nobles and ladies in Gongyu Kingdom. The college entrance examination held in this city is to select students with good talent and spiritual pulse qualifications for training, and then enter the Imperial College to study. Listening all the way, Mu Lingxi felt dizzy and finally arrived at the dormitory area outside the college. Inoue enthusiastically introduced various facilities in the dormitory area to Mu Lingxi, including restaurants, gardens, dormitories, and libraries. As she spoke, the two of them arrived at the door of the middle of the 10th row of buildings. Inoue pushed the door open and entered, while Mu Lingxi followed her in. The dormitory is not very large, but it has all kinds of furnishings. There are 4 beds in the room, and except for one bed with a simple insult, the other 3 are empty. Many candidates from wealthy families live in comfortable inns, so there are plenty of beds available in these free accommodation locations. Mu Lingxi chose a bed by the window from the remaining 3 beds, and Inoue shared some of her humiliation with Mu Lingxi. From then on, Mu Lingxi temporarily stayed in Micheng. The two of them had a simple meal, and Mu Lingxi went out alone to the library in the dormitory area. Until now, she has been in a state of being smeared with 2 eyes. She can't ask others everything, can she? Moreover, in this complex society, not everyone will always answer your questions and answer truthfully. So, her most important thing now is to have a good understanding of this magical continent, so that she can better plan her future. There are many books in the library, but they cannot be lent out and can only be read freely in the library. At this moment, there were not many people in the library. Mu Lingxi casually picked up several books on history, geography, and humanities and quietly started reading them. Time passed, and the dim yellow oil lamps were filled with fearless moths fighting the fire. It wasn't until the oil ran out and the lamps dried up that the sky once again turned cute and white with fish bellies. Mu Lingxi then closed her book, stood up, and stretched lazily. One night of reading finally gave her a rough understanding of this continent. This continent is called Hongming Continent, and people here can cultivate to varying degrees based on their own talents. This continent is divided into 3 countries. The country where one is located is called Mayukuni, which is located in the southeast of the continent. The other 2 are Keiu Kingdom in the northeast of the continent and Snow Country in the northwest of the continent. The city where I am currently located, Micheng, is located on the southwest border of Mayukuni, near the border of Geiu province. It is the main channel for trade and exchange between the 2 countries, and is also one of the few prosperous places in border cities. Micheng College in the city is also the only official training school in the southwest of Mayukuni. The college entrance examination mentioned by Inua is exactly the new student entrance examination held every 3 years by Micheng College. There are still 10 days left until the college entrance examination test. It is said that only those who pass the test can register, and the score of the test is directly related to which class you enter. Moreover, the resources enjoyed at school vary depending on the class schedule. Chapter 8. Xiaobaozi and Stinky Monkey. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Many people with slightly better talents in remote areas will come to take the test, hoping to get good grades and enter classes with abundant resources. This is a good way for poor students like them to achieve success. But it's not easy to get good grades, let alone that even if you pass the exam, it's useless if you can't afford the tuition fee of 1,000 gold beads per year. So, many students will work hard to accumulate tuition fees before taking the test, hoping to get a good ranking and enter the college to study. Mu Lingxi now feels that participating in the college entrance examination at Micheng College is probably the best plan so far. After all, as long as you pass the exam and pay the tuition, not only can you learn and practice, but if you have good grades, your life problems can be completely solved in the college. Thinking of this, Mu Lingxi secretly made up her mind to take advantage of these 10 days to earn enough tuition fees for 1,000 gold beads and then participate in the recruitment exam. When she returned to the dormitory, Inua left a note on her desk, saying that she had gone out to work. The note also left her work address, saying that if Mu Lingxi wanted to go, she could go and work. Mu Lingxi gave a simple wash, and just as she tied her soft long hair into a bun head, she heard a strange male voice coming from outside the window. "Your bun is strange, it's round like a bun." Mu Lingxi followed the sound and saw a man dressed in a deep blue luxurious robe lying cross-legged on a laurel tree outside the window. A smile full of interest hung on the corner of his evil mouth, and his extremely handsome eyes were tightly watching her. "Your posture is strange, lazy like a monkey." Mu Lingxi returned unhappily. "Does he think it's fun to sit on a tree and peep in broad daylight?" The man in blue, although somewhat surprised, was not angry when he heard this. Looking at Mu Lingxi's angry little face, the smile on his lips unconsciously widened a bit. Angry. There was a hint of flattery in the man's tone. "Are you with a monkey?" "I'm not crazy." Mu Lingxi glanced at the person and casually wanted to close the window. She felt that talking to such boring people was really a waste of time. However, just as Mu Lingxi was pulling the window edge and preparing to close it, a long and fair hand blocked the window edge after hearing a sound of brushing. The little girl is not very old, but her eyes are not good. Even such a big living person can be seen as a monkey. Xian Yuanluo joked. "Really? I thought only monkeys would hide in trees and peep." Mu Lingxi couldn't close the window, so she placed her bracelet on her chest and looked seriously at the lazy figure outside the window. She wants to see what kind of ghost this monkey is going to play with today. Peeping. Xian Yuanluo instinctively glanced at the laurel tree outside the window. From this angle, he did indeed have some suspicion of peeping just now. Looking back, Xian Yuanluo casually touched his slightly pointed chin and said innocently, "I was just passing by earlier, and I accidentally saw it. I definitely didn't peep." "You can't talk nonsense, otherwise my lifelong reputation will be ruined. I'll talk to someone for justice." Mu Lingxi looked down upon the person and was too lazy to argue with him. She turned around and prepared to go back to the house to tidy up and go out. Xian Yuanluo saw Mu Lingxi turning around to leave, but that was not possible. He saw a light and agile leap and stopped Mu Lingxi in front of him. Chapter 9. Intelligence Missing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Hey. Little Bun, you haven't promised me not to talk nonsense yet. Mu Lingxi didn't expect that person to follow in, and was immediately startled. After discovering that the person dared to sneak into the girls' dormitory without anyone else's knowledge, he immediately became furious and shouted at his fair and handsome face, "Stinky monkey, you're not finished yet. This is the girls' dormitory, get out of here quickly. Otherwise, I'll tell everyone that you're a despicable and shameless voyeur." Xian Yuanluo frowned at the roar, but his feet remained motionless. After Mu Lingxi finished roaring, she thought someone would know how to leave quickly, but she didn't expect that person to just frown and still stand there without realizing it. The smile on the corner of her mouth made her want to punch. "You're not going out, are you?" Mu Lingxi was almost fed up with the men here. Why do they both love to trouble her? "You haven't promised me yet." Xian Yuanluo looked at the woman with a gloomy face in front of him, feeling more and more amused. "Can you please have a better brain? I don't even know who you are. Who can I tell?" Mu Lingxi really knelt down for this low IQ monkey. No wonder he looks so handsome. His skill points are probably added to his appearance, and he doesn't even have intelligence at all. "Yeah. I forgot even if you didn't say it. My name is Zun Yuanluo, and you?" Xian Yuanluo had a sudden realization on his face and happily said his name. Mu Lingxi's face turned black. "Is there any wood?" "That's right. To your sister. Sister doesn't want to know if your name is good at all. Don't leave, right?" "Okay. Great. If you don't leave, I'll go." Thinking of this, Mu Lingxi angrily pointed to the person in front of her with a very straight smile and said fiercely, "Zun Yuanluo, right. I remember you." After speaking, Mu Lingxi crossed over Zun Yuanluo directly and strode towards the door. "Hey. Xiaobaozi, haven't you told me your name yet?" As Xian Yuanluo spoke, he followed Mu Lingxi's footsteps all the way, and the smile on his lips became even more sinister. Mu Lingxi walked with her head down all the way, and the man followed her not far or near. In the end, Mu Lingxi couldn't bear it anymore. She turned her head and said angrily to Xian Yuanluo, "I'm afraid of you. Can you stop following me? You go, you go. I'm leaving, how can I call following you? What exactly do you want? Your name?" "You." Mu Lingxi Qi Jie, Mu Lingxi. "It's not a pseudonym, is it?" Xian Yuanluo blinked in confusion. "Believe it or not. Don't follow me anymore." Mu Lingxi angrily shook her sleeves and left. She really didn't want to see this Yan Wan, who couldn't even shake off anymore. "Lingxi. Wait for me, where are you going?" Xian Yuanluo deliberately pursed his mouth and shouted in a numb voice. Mu Lingxi, who was walking ahead, almost stumbled and fell to the ground when she heard the trembling ending sound. "You shut up. Shout again, believe it or not, I'll cut you off." The people passing by seemed to have never seen such a ferocious woman before, and to their surprise, many people looked towards her. Mu Lingxi's face stiffened, and she could only squeeze out a slight smirk as she explained, "My younger brother is not obedient, he's too mischievous. I'll teach him a lesson, everyone should hurry up. There's nothing to look at." The people around slowly left, shaking their heads and minds one by one. "Lingxi. How can you deceive people? I'm clearly not your younger brother." Xian Yuanluo continued to add fuel to the fire without worrying about the big picture. Chapter 10. Compulsory Helping Others. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator.